Very rainy afternoon, and we say good evening to you. This is the third umpires, and today we come to you from Port of Spain, very rainy, and we say good evening to all our friends in London who are usually locked on and listening, our friend in New York, Karma, our friend in Chicago, our friend in Miami, who is a frequent caller here, and of course our friends in Africa. All our friends in Trinidad and Tobago who are usually listening. Some of you are on your way home, driving home. Some of you are experiencing the rainy end or the sticky end of this very, very, very rainy evening. Good evening. Good evening also to the owners and managers of this lovely radio station. You are listening, of course, to Stephen Matheson, and shortly you will have joining us two other umpires, Ronaldo Rolox, who is one of our senior umpires here, and Miss Simoya Sandeford, who is also an HR professional who sits with us an evening to bring you the issues. You, of course, our friends, can always chime in at any point in the show and discuss with us or agree or disagree with us on the arguments or the context the content for which we bring to you from time to time this evening. This weekend was a really exciting weekend for Trinidad and Tobago. We would have one or two games over the weekend. TKR won its two games over the weekend, and I say in fine style. I wasn't expecting anything different, so I would have listened, fortunately or unfortunately, to some comments over the weekend that maybe we should turn off the light on them, like what they did us in Guyana, kind of thing. Hey, we would have won anyway. So we won the game, we won both games, and I say congratulations to all those who were part of that game and all our fans who was expecting nothing less. This weekend, or this week I should say, is another a very exciting week. If we look at, and as we say on this show, we always look at the geopolitical scene to merge it into our situation and let you know what is going on in the geopolitics, how it affects us in Trinidad and Tobago. And today is no different. This weekend I should say, some major things happened throughout the world, but China hosted the SEO conference, and you had Russia, India, and China, coming together in a show of force. But what was significant about that is that India, who to me was always a speculative figure, was at that conference and made certain pledged to Xi and Russia, that is Putin, and it sent a very resonating message to the US, and now the US is now in a sort of tailspin because to a large extent India is saying, you can't tell us who to buy our oil, you can't tell us what to do in the best interest of once it is not in the best interest of our economy. And therefore India has indicated that it will continue buying Russian oil, and that 50% tariff won't really hurt them. What has also came out of that, what also came out so far from that that meeting, was that the vast resources, Siberian resources, coming out from the oil field, the oil facilities in Russia, it is now easier to direct that gas to China, and therefore Europe will now be feeling the hurt as it relates to they being locked out of that Siberian gas fuel that they would have gotten in the past, and China is now willing to take all of it. And that in a significant way is significant. That in a large way is significant, because what that means is that there's no stopping for Russia, and there's no stopping for China, and to a large extent India. Tomorrow, or today and tomorrow, China will also be showcasing its strength and resilience in its military prowess, with the military parade scheduled to happen, I think it's either today or tomorrow. But that parade will also show off China's prowess in terms of military exploration, in terms of military strength, its hypersonic missiles and that kind of thing, something for which America, to a large extent, haven't been able to test in any significant way as yet. So that too is significant, and that tells you that the world is now moving faster than ever in a multipolar direction, because what we had was a unipolar situation with the US using its dollar to dominate as a hegemonic power, to dominate the world, and to a large extent that is falling, that is crumbling like biscuits, I would say. And to those who would disagree with that, you just have to look and see what's happening, where the world is going. Soon you may see a BRICS currency, sooner than most of us think that may be happening, and then that will spell the end, or the beginning of the end, to US hegemony. And this is not something I am particularly rejoicing over. I'm just saying these are the facts. These are something that is happening, and we just have to look at it. We have to look at it in terms also of how we align ourselves, and how we remain neutral in the situation, to be able to capitalize on some of the changes that are taking place, and to be able to capitalize on the benefits of these kind of changes that are taking place in the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was important to raise those issues also, because those issues are critical to us in Trinidad and Tobago, especially when we look at what's happening, when we look at our position in the world, where we sit. We are in the West, and America, to a large extent, through its Monroe Doctrine and its hegemonic, America, to a large extent, feels that we are, by and large, must remain key supporters of its position. That being said, I know you would have a lot to discuss. I know you would have a lot of questions to ask, a lot of things that could come out of that as a discussion, and we welcome that also. In Trinidad and Tobago, however, there are some issues. I see one of the things that seem to be a storm in a teacup is that issue of the statement by Dr. Kirk Mayhew when he spoke about Eric Williams being a premier, and between 1958 and 1962, and some saying that to a large extent he wasn't the first prime minister, or he wasn't the father of the nation. I say storm in a teacup because that I think Dr. Lovell Francis would have indicated it was a pseudo-academic discussion. I wouldn't say that. But what I would say, and I wouldn't say also that it is in any way not true, because in fact, Dr. Eric Williams was the premier of Trinidad and Tobago from 1956 to 1962, when we became independent, and then he became prime minister. And so I would agree with Kamala Prasad Misesa in saying that maybe it had better things to discuss than that, than put that nonsense on the Guardian, because the facts are the facts and you can't change the facts. So for what reason were we discussing that? You'd have to ask Dr. Kirk Mayhew. It ended in something that sometimes when you listen to it, it kind of borders on, some people will say, race and, people with, with agendas and that kind of thing. I don't necessarily see so. Some people just talk, some people, sometimes you have nothing to say and you just talk. But the media sometimes run with stories that maybe doesn't make sense. The discussion that has been had since that is what, in my opinion, skews the narrative or skews the course of history. Federation, the Federation movement was between 1958 and 1962, and I think it was Trinidad and Tobago was the reason why, well, not the reason, but Jamaica to an extent had some concerns, and Trinidad and Tobago drop out and say 1 from 10 leave not. And that too is that too is history, that too is well documented. So where we were going with that discussion, I really don't know. And maybe you could tell us. You could tell us. We are not necessarily dumb to history. We understand history also. And there's a lot to discuss. A lot of people could say a lot of different things coming out of that. But that is something you can call us and talk to us about also. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Well, I'll tell you that you are afraid that the issue that's going on with internationally with China, Russia, India, and a number of other countries, including Iran and so on. But one thing you missed was that they also decided not to deal in U.S.
Right, and I was saying that also because soon they will. I'm almost sure probably within the next year they'll have a currency.
Yeah,
especially BRICS.
Now this is one of the moves that caused America to come down here to Venezuela, which has the largest oil deposit in the world.
Caller, you are so correct, but I'm seeing it, and I'm not even seeing it as, I'm seeing it as something else, and which is why.
No, but you see. Hear what, man? Because America, they made the agreement years ago that oil must be sold via petrodollar.
Right, and that was Nixon.
And since then, every single leader that said they are no longer using petrodollar
have been vanquished.
To sell oil
have been vanquished.
Have been executed.
Yes.
Let me call it as it is. They have been executed by the U.S. Even some the most stupid excuses.
Which was Gaddafi, Libya.
Yeah, not only him, a number of other people, right? Even, and we have seen it here, even with Saddam. Now they're claiming narco-terrorism. But maybe they need to put a blockade on America themselves, because all the narco-terrorists are armed by guns coming out of the U.S.
You remember the situation early in, I think it was 2002 with Chavez? When Chavez said his oil, when he ran all of them, and he said that his oil will be used to strengthen the people of Venezuela
right.
Right?
But now, England has also joined forces with America in this, because they have over $60 billion worth of gold, which Chavez was trading for his oil, locked up in their vaults.
Yes, correct.
And they refused to give Venezuela back their money, so that the people will continue to starve, so that hopefully they would have had an internal squabble or civil war in Venezuela, because people would have gotten fed up. So actually, They are the largest terrorist group in the world.
Yeah. But caller, I was thinking to myself today, and I'm thinking, when you look at what's happening in Gaza, and Gaza, in my opinion, is an outlier because it's not really a proxy. But because Russia and maybe China and they ain't getting involved,
No. But Gaza was caught by England.
Right. But listen, if you look at what's going on in Ukraine clearly, that's a proxy, a proxy war. Ukraine has nothing to do with what's going on.
Listen, you notice that as soon as America sent battleships down to our hemisphere in Venezuela, instantly Russia dropped some bombs on U.S. business in Ukraine.
So that's where I'm going. Now here what's going on happen. Why this is so important to try and to be going. We sleeping, we even understanding what's going on.
We have to be careful with what we're doing.
Here what happened. Here why I will remain very neutral in this. I mean we are in the Western Hemisphere, but you know, this Venezuela could become the next proxy.
Well, here's the thing, right? Do you know that China owns an island north of Curacao?
Yes.
And they have installations there?
To make an ex-Panama Canal kind of thing. There.
Do you know that China and India, who have unified with Russia, also have interest in Trinidad and Tobago? If we decide we're going against their good friend in Venezuela, because Russia has a number of businesses, including hotels, etc., in Venezuela, right? For those who don't know. If we decide to side with the U.S. against their friends, and we are trying to make negotiations with them, what do you think will happen with us? It is asinine to come and jump on this boat, because we will end up causing problems with some of our other friends.
Correct.
Now, let me tell you something. This guy explained it years ago. I forget his name, not Carter, Reagan said that, you know, Paris is a good way of trying to put back the country on its foot. However, it mustn't last for more than 3 months, because what will end up happening is the other countries will find alternate trade routes. And this is what has happened.
What has happened? Well, and that's what happened with India and China right now.
Because, they find alternate trade routes.
Because they was fighting, they was battling each other on the border in
listen.
They were battling each other just about 3-4 years ago.
My enemy is my friend. So we have to be, listen, we are treading in dangerous waters, and if we don't be careful, we will find ourselves in deep waters without a float.
I always sit and, you know, listen to all these wars and look at everything and just hope that when nuclear time come, that we are so far away from it. And look,
because with Venezuela,
yes, this is what I'm saying. It is right in our backyard, too close to comfort.
Now here's the thing, because we are siding with the America via our great Prime Minister, what if, just like Russia
I wouldn't say via our great Prime Minister. I would say this is something, what is happening with this agreement with America is something that was signed in the under the Keith Rowley administration.
Not for this.
Yeah?
Not for something like this.
Well, yes, the agreement, one of them entailed the U.S. using our shores and our infrastructure to combat other powers or other hostile powers.
You saw was Rowley or Kamala signed that in 2014, I think. And it had a whole big set of follow-up with that. They signed that.
Yeah, but it was renewed under Dr. Rowley.
Dr. Rowley, I know the origins with under the Massabi sister.
Yeah, so
right?
Yeah, you can't, I wouldn't politicize what Kamala has done because she was just following on what was there
Hello,
already.
hello, 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 hello. I wouldn't have you. Mr. Bisasa,
Oh, sorry,
please,
Mrs. Vicessa,
no
yes.
disrespectful.
Yes.
Nice. All right.
Sorry about
But
that.
yeah, no, but honestly, we have to be careful because only recently we came and we recognize and we welcome the India Prime Minister into our floods. And now we are joining forces with somebody who is now at loggerheads. I won't want to say war conflict, but at loggerheads with economically. Now, the same way how Russia dropped a bomb on a U.S. business in Ukraine, suppose they decide to do that for us because of our stance. What will happen to us? Now, I want people to understand, even with Venezuela, the armament that they had. I was privy to some of their planes. That was a couple of years ago when the president, not even Chavez, long before him.
No, Venezuela
Right?
has, I think Venezuela has S-300, and if I'm not making a mistake, Venezuela
But
has
the
armament.
planes, them are from airport anthems come up to Fetasu, Russian made. Now, if they send two other planes, even the old-time F4 Phantom that they have, because that's what they came here, guarding the president in the plane. Two of that passed over Trinidad. Within 10 minutes, most of the country destroyed. Those planes were called the screaming death in Vietnam. Because when you hear it, you are already dead. Because they faster than sound, even when it is flying under 100 feet. People don't know big plane, they could destroy this entire country within 10 minutes before America can even act. All they will do is save the ashes.
But
Most of us dead.
Caller, still this discussion. I mean, Venezuela destroying that is a kind of asinine discussion because
No.
I don't think we will reach there. I don't think that will ever happen.
Listen, if you poke the bear too long and bite you, we have to be careful of that too. And based on these statements of the Venezuelan security minister, we have to be careful with what we're doing. We sort of daring the people, and you can't dare person too much. You understand? It's like a wife telling the husband, "You ain't no man. You're a mama poor man. You must be a manico." And then he gets vexed. And you know what? He go make a deal. Be careful. We don't end up in hospital. Only have a life.
Yes. Thanks for the insight, caller. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good afternoon to the Empire.
Afternoon.
Hi, how you going today?
Good so far.
Good. All right, cool. Before I give my brief contribution, you can clarify too. Well, I heard you said India, they responded to America saying that, respectfully within their rights that America doesn't have the right to dictate to them what they could do with their natural resources. I mean, I totally support that. Full stop. There's nothing really to think about that. I mean, this might not be the first instance where we have seen the United States promote a kind of, intimidation atmosphere towards other countries. So I totally support that concept from India. And that concept is the concept that a lot of us as Trinidad.
Well, in the first place, India realized that those tariffs wasn't really anything, had nothing to do with economics in any way. It was more political than anything else, one. And two, you had China, who was buying more oil than India, more oil and gas and things than India. And the same tariffs, the same thing wasn't applied. You had other nations, even Europe was buying a lot of the refined products coming out of the oil from India, and they didn't get the same, they weren't treated the same way. So clearly it was about something else rather than economics.
And that economics. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, definitely. I mean,
and so India realized it. Huh?
India realized, India realized it. Yeah, sometimes when, you hear me, clear?
I'm hearing you very well.
Okay. Sometimes when persons use, jargon unique to thing, the speech that they say might be all well, but as you just break down the science as a knowledgeable person yourself, it seems to be more more personal agenda than strictly economics. And the second point you would have raised, you mentioned that the Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Bissessa, she said that we have been focusing on the Venezuela-America situation too much in the media.
Well, she said that too at some point in time, but when I mentioned her today, I mentioned her when she would have said in relation to a question asked by I think a Guardian reporter relative to the comments that Dr. Kirk Mayhew would have made relative to the first Prime Minister. And she said that was a non-issue. I mean, she don't even understand why we having that discussion. And I agree with her. Because to me, that was a non-issue. I mean, history is history. I mean, history are usually facts. Right? Some people have different interpretation of what happened and when it happened. But I mean, why are we having this discussion when really and truly the fact is the fact?
When you say the first Prime Minister of which country?
The first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. First Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago was Eric Williams, and he became the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in 1962, but he was the Premier of Trinidad and Tobago since 1956, all through Federation. Federation was from 1958 to 1962. It ended as a result of Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. And those are history. Those are things we learn in what, A-levels or whatever,
Well, thanks for the advice. I'm closing now. I really kind of missed the total sentence. I thought you were saying that the Prime Minister was saying we focusing a little bit too much.
No, but she did say that. She did say that at some point in time also. She did mention that also at some point in time.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I mean, really and truly, as a citizen. And I mean, it's a good thing that not holding you as the sayer of it. But yeah, I mean, totally, we need to focus on Trinidad and Tobago right now. We take a note of what's going on with Venezuela. We make sure our affairs in order from what's going on, but focus on our country.
Okay, thank you, caller.
I'll continue to listen.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, caller. Yeah. Okay, so we missed that caller there. Yeah, so, a number of things went on coming out of the news. In the next hour, we'll be talking about some other issues with myself and my other fellow empires. Let me take this last caller. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Good program. I was listening to a program.
Nice.
Real good program. Real good. That people could learn. There's plenty things that people don't know. They could learn. It's not something that you is for politics, or you is for this or that one or the other one. You learning people what they don't know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, what I want to say is, I am like you, If I do something I don't like it, I say it.
Yeah.
That is how I am, because this is not for me. It's the country we're talking about. Right. Now, what Kurt Mayhew said, I want people to know that is what we learn in West Indian reader. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, people, and I like how the Prime Minister answered too. It wasn't bad for the answer she gave, but Kurt Mayhew wasn't wrong in saying something. Who don't know, they will know. You understand? Because that is what we learn in West Indian reader. I learned that in West Indian reader.
Yeah.
you know.
Correct.
But when Eric Williams come, he said, get rid of West Indian reader, and he only brings Caribbean reader. So then, no, who didn't use West Indian reader, they would know. They might know. You know, so Kirk Mayhew didn't say anything bad for me. Neither the Prime Minister. He didn't say anything bad. He didn't say anything lies. He didn't say nothing racial. He talked what was the truth, that what people don't know, they will know. You understand?
Yes.
But
yes.
when I see the cricket team saying West Indies going to play so, I was shocked and surprised. Because I know our Prime Minister William say it's Caribbean. He don't want nothing in West Indian. Everything must be Caribbean. So I mean, I was shocked. You understand? So thank you for such a time, and people should learn from what they hear from you and although anybody else. And thank you for this time and good program.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Good evening, caller.
Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You know, it amazes me how some of you talk show hosts wish to tell we, the listeners, who you all rely upon to make your show be what it is, how we must decide how we call people by their name or whatever it is. Because here is what. That same lady, under her leadership, she sat right there and have a woman called Toppin Shopping say a bunch of disparaging things that was absolutely not necessary for the running of the country. Say all kind of thing about the man, how he was in a womb, and because he was in that womb, he turned out to be a man who doing the same thing and all kind of thing because he was in the womb from all kind of rape and all kind of stuff. And you want to come now and you want to tell people that they're supposed to say what? Honorable this and honorable that? Think about it. Another talk show host attempted to do the same nonsense this morning. A very decent woman. You all cannot legislate free speech. And if people feel to call and say anti-cams, what do you take that? And if you feel to call and say bald head, what do you take that?
Caller, you know,
stop that nonsense
caller, you know,
yeah.
we value everybody's views. We value everybody's views. And we see it as we see it from time to time. That is myself. I have an opinion. You have one. This show is the Third Umpires. And what we do is, you know, we look at the goings on, we look at the issues, and we say it as we see it. We invite you to call in from time to time and say what your position is and how you see it. So, you know, this is the kind of show this is. So, you know, I value your comments. If there's anything to say about it, I agree with you 100%, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Well, don't fall for it and don't get chained up.
Don't fall for what?
Okay? Don't hear what's going on. That bunch of people.
Which bunch of people?
Who?
The government you're talking about?
Yes, all 41 of them.
But that's our government.
Our government, we are the government.
That's your government, that's my government. You are Trini, right?
Bro, I don't wear a red jersey or a yellow jersey. I wear a red, white, and black jersey.
Makes it better. And the government is red, white, and black. So that is our government. And the same respect we give to the people in red is the same respect we give the people in yellow too.
No, the people have abrogated the responsibility.
Which one? The red or the yellow?
All the people who go voting for these people. What? They abrogated the responsibility.
Why you say that? That's your view. I mean, I'll be the responsibility. Anyway, we going for a break. I'll invite you to call us back, but we're going for a break now to pay some bills. Right?
It's simple. Just let the people and they'll see it and name them how they want to name them.
Okay. Thank you, caller. We'll be taking
Have a good day.
Got bills to pay. And so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Looking for a preschool for your child? Well, look no further. At Leaping Learners Preschool, we believe that every child deserves a jumpstart to success in a safe and loving environment. We prepare your little ones for primary school while giving them the care and attention they deserve, whether they're 3 or 7 years old. At Leaping Learners Preschool, we cater to children with special needs and provide long hours of care from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. so you can rest easy knowing your child is in good hands. And for our tiniest learners, babies aged 3 months to 2 years, we offer nurturing daycare services to help them grow and thrive. Join the Leaping Learners family today. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Leaping Learners Preschool or visit our website at leapinglearnerstt.com to learn more. We are located in Barataria. Called 744-1523. That's 744-1523. Your child's future begins with a leap.
The #1 bookstore in Trinidad is having the biggest back-to-school sale for the holidays.
Shop at Sharon's Bookstore for the biggest back-to-school sale.
All your kindergarten, preschool,
primary, secondary school,
and tertiary education supplies at ridiculously low prices. Sharon's also carries a wide range of sneakers, socks, t-shirts, vests for girls and boys,
and much more items for school. So don't miss Sharon's back-to-school sale.
Now on Eastern Main Road, San Juan, Tunapuna.
2 locations at Trin City Mall, ground level and first level. We're also open on Sundays from 8 a.m. Check us on Facebook for up-to-date info and promotion. Also, message us for a quick response.
Are you ready to elevate your baking game? Try Lion brand self-rising flour, now in our convenient and eco-friendly pouch packaging. With just the right balance of flour and baking powder, our self-rising flour takes the guesswork out of baking. Whether you're whipping up fluffy pancakes for the kids or baking a delicious cake for that special occasion, Lion brand self-rising flour helps you create not just food, but connections that bring people together. Bake more, worry less, and share the goodness. Lion brand, the power behind our great taste traditions.
Calling all choir. This is TNT's first gospel choir event of its kind. It's finally here. This is Divine Harmony. Choirs from all over the country will vie for over $250,000 in prizes. Semi-final round, the East-West Corridor, Saturday, September 20th, Central and South Trinidad, Saturday, September 27th, and Tobago, Saturday, October 4th. To register, call 719-9599. TNT, get ready. This is Divine Harmony.
Everybody say that.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Here my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
Craving the golden perfection of homemade fry bakes without the fuss? Lion brand fry bake mix, in its convenient, easy-to-use pouch, makes it incredibly simple. Just add water and yeast, mix, and fry for crispy fried bakes that are ready in minutes. Perfect for a quick snack. Our fry bake mix helps you bring family and friends together around the table for a delicious meal. Share the flavor and create delicious memories with Lion brand fry bake mix. Lion brand, the power behind our great taste traditions.
Tune in to The Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 to 186 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program Health and Healing, merging the old with the new with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the Street 919 FM.
Join the winning team with Pastor Alkaline John
every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and every Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
live on the Street 919 FM as he talks about Lviv, the power of 5 fruits, one of the most powerful antioxidant supplements on the market today. The 5 superfruits in Lviv are mangosteen, acai, pomegranate, goji, and nuni. These fruits have a positive and profound impact on human health performance and disease. Join him as he gives live testimonials of the Lviv healing powers. To get more information, you can contact Pastor Alkaline John at 516-286-7079 or you can visit his webpage at www.alkalinejohn.com. Remember,
every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and every Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
live on the Street 919 FM.
The Embassy Yacht is back and ready to transform your events into unforgettable experiences. Launched from King's Wharf, San Fernando, the perfect starting point for an epic experience of luxury, music, and celebration on the open water. By booking our vessel, your event will include a house DJ, state-of-the-art sound system, fully stocked bar, dedicated cleaning crew, top-notch security. This isn't just a venue, it's a floating masterpiece designed to make your event the talk of the town. Imagine your guests dancing under the stars, drinks in hand, with breathtaking views of the coastline as your backdrop. From birthdays to corporate events to exclusive parties, the Embassy Yacht offers promoters a unique platform to create unforgettable memories and boost your brand's reputation. Call or WhatsApp 399-5959 or email embassycruises@gmail.com.
Achieve risen baked goods every time with Lion brand baking powder. Our convenient, easy-to-use pouch ensures freshness and makes measuring a breeze. From cakes to cookies, Lion brand baking powder is your secret ingredient for the best results. Imagine the smiles as you share your delicious homemade creations with family, friends, and neighbors. Baking is about more than just food. It's about creating memories. Choose Lion brand baking powder and bake up some sweet moments. Lion brand, the power behind our great taste traditions.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, callers and listeners, we are back. Or I should say I am back. I was just told that my fellow umpire who is on her way here, she was held up at her office because of the rain and she should be here shortly. Before we went on a break, we were having some very insightful discussions on the geopolitical issues, and some of the issues that I would have raised in my opening. And I invite you to call in and let's have some discussion on them, because they are real live issues that that are important. In particular, we spoke about the statement, or the statement Dr. Mayhew would have made, and the relevance of it to history. Good evening, caller. Or I should say good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matheson.
Yeah.
Mr. Matheson, I heard you spoke with respect to a statement made by Dr. Mayhew. And I agree with your sentiments on the matter. And because, you know, you go back to the history again with respect to the Federation and whatnot, prior to the grant of independence, and before the grant of independence, you had
not a federation. The federation, dismantled.
Right? 58 to 62.
Right. And in that period, under the colonial masters, you had, under that, you had the head of government again was the premier, which is quite different from on the grant of independence or the gaining of attainment upon attaining independence. The head of government then became the prime minister. So I really confused as to why Dr. Mehu would raise that.
Yeah, I am confused as to that was like a storm in a teacup. That was like a storm in a teacup there. I mean, I couldn't understand.
Because I think that is trite. It is trite. People know, and I think what had happened is that the Prime Minister rightly said that that's a non-issue.
Yeah, it is.
Again, and we have more important matters
to discuss. And
today I heard, you see, you operate in a political environment, one that is highly adversarial, and you give the opposition, you give them as fodder when you come there to engage in all kind of nonsense.
And all kind of nonsense. To me, that doesn't make sense.
So it doesn't make sense. So as politicians, sometimes you have to be careful what you're saying. You have to know your audience, you know your environment, know the people you're speaking to, know what the other side wants. So you giving them further, and more particularly around this time, you'll be less adversarial, you'll be less controversial at this point in time. So I don't know, and then who said the day I think was I heard the.
But what do you think about the opposition's question to the Prime Minister relative to her absence in issues of CARICOM affairs and her position on the Venezuela issue?
Well, the thing about, right, if you talk about the absence in terms of CARICOM, I think, there are things, the former Prime Minister used to say, there are things that I know that you people don't know. And we saw the absence from the CARICOM, and subsequent to that, you had the proclamation of a state of emergency. So it would have meant, because in the early days when Williams wouldn't leave the country, because he may have had, I was wrong, a little boy, but the fact remains there are times when he didn't leave because probably the special branch would have informed him, he would have had information or intelligence with respect to some, because it was rather unstable at that point in time. And the climate today is no different from what it was in the 60s and 70s. Right? So she would know why it is. She would have said, I don't know. She would have to say, but I suspect that it was because of the instability, the perceived instability, and probably the advice given to her by those people in the intelligence community. So I would have suspected that. What is the other issue you asked about? Something about?
No, well, they would have asked about Venezuela. What role is Trinidad and Tobago playing in terms of Venezuela, the U.S. and the drug interdiction?
Well, I heard the Prime Minister said that she was welcoming the Americans into the CARICOM or the CARICOM or territorial waters. You understand? Into the region, as a matter of fact. She said that because you have a high incidence of crime, and any help, and it's a fact. And you're taking help from anybody. Trinidad in a mess. Trinidad is the 7th murderous country in the world per capita. I want to take your advice. Right?
But the statistics will show that the U.S. has something like 15,000 gun-related crimes on a daily basis.
Right, but
per capita, it might still be less than Trinidad and Tobago because, of course, the U.S. is 50 million people.
Right, but in terms, given our size, look at our population in relation to murders and serious crime, home invasion. You're picking up man all, imagine a man on the roadside somewhere in Arima, they start to shoot the man, come out the car, shoot the man run into some grocery and is bullet down the road. You're picking up people all every day. We know for a fact the same trend, they what they call it, trend that Venezuelan criminal gang that they spoke about, the IWER. You have all the evidence telling this fella they call I think he used to work with the.
So you are essentially agreeing with the narrative that it is important for the U.S. to be here in our waters, if only they are doing what they are there for what they claim to be there for.
Yes, this is the thing, and this is what you need. Trinidad, none of them in the Caribbean. Barbados wielding on their crime on them mostly. You must listen to the voice of Barbados during the morning and all. Same kind of home invasion too. Murders down the road, men on motorbike and all that. It's chaos there. So I'm saying that none of the Caribbean countries have been able to solve or stymie or to say or to deal effectively with crime. You think I want to live in a country if things continue to worsen in this country? You need help. We need help in this country to deal with crime. You can't deal with it alone. And if they are coming and they have their people, they have their own country to protect the crime situation because they are saying guns are entering the country. They are saying that you have a lot of human trafficking and all these different things from Mexico and all these different things. They're trying to solve their problems and we have to solve our problems. So I have no problem with that. And I'm not going to read into anything. There's nothing for me to say that, no evidence for me to suggest. I will be speculating that that Americans are going to invade or to take out Maduro. I don't have any evidence of that. So I err on the side of caution. I'm not merely speculating on that.
Okay.
As my good friend on the morning tell me, say if you want to know what people intend, think about what they say and what they and their conduct. And so far the conduct, I am not seeing that. But I'm saying that I'm not going to engage in speculation, and I'm not going to stoke fear in the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not doing that.
Okay. So
because I can go back now to the question of the shipwrighter agreement. When you had the shipwright, the same nonsense was going on, and the shipwrighter agreement was signed. I think Ramesh was the who signed it.
I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
And since that. The amount of seizure that they would have had in terms of cocaine and drugs and guns in Carigum, in the region, I mean, one couldn't doubt that it was a good sign and the same Americans.
But so one cannot deny that the U.S. usually telegraphs its intention and usually follows up on it over time.
Yeah.
And what they have said in the past, what Trump, as a matter of fact, in 2019 had said in the past, that Venezuela, they will have to do regime change in Venezuela. That's what he would have indicated.
Yeah, yeah. But you see the problem with Trump, that President Trump, they say he's unpredictable, they say he's transactional. And I am saying that he would say one thing in the morning and do something in the evening. He could go back to Iran. Why are the people, he say he wasn't going to, and then he went in there and bombed at the people and all the nuclear, this and that and the other.
Clearly.
So he says one thing in the morning and does something else in the evening. So you can't really, he's unpredictable. And even if he says that, you know, he's saying that he's going down there, I don't know what he's going there for, and I know they're in the waters there. Yeah. But the thing about, I don't know. I can't say. I mean, people are saying, well, as my good friend in the morning will say, look at what they say and look at the conduct. Yeah. And what people are saying is that, yes, you had about 3 battleships, but you're bringing about 2 more and 3 more. So
8 in total.
Right. So the fact remains is that it appears as if, you know, but I can't say for sure. It could be a means of intimidating Venezuela or Maduro. I don't know. Yeah. Right, I can't say so, but I mean.
All right. Okay. Thank you, caller. Let me pause to welcome our an umpire that hasn't been on the show for quite some time.
Yes.
Mr. Ronaldo Rolex. you've been hearing what the discussion where the discussion went so far. What is your...
Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. Good afternoon, listeners. And I was tuned in on my way here. I did listen to the discussion on Dr. Mayu. How to put it?
Well, you think that's an asinine discussion? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm looking for the word. I'm looking for a very cryptic word because we have a tendency in this banana country to have discussions that might be all true, but of no particular value.
No value because I mean,
And
you didn't say anything wrong.
I think you have to understand, and the Prime Minister will have to understand as well, given the capacity of the gentleman, it will seem that his messages are aligned. Now she has distanced herself from it, meaning, you know, let's talk about more valuable things. But you must understand when people like that, especially when they're party associated,
yes, it will resonate.
It will resonate in some way. And they do not do the responsible thing by saying the disclaimer. These are my academic views. And the gentleman is quite entitled to his views.
Well, it wasn't, to me, he didn't really say anything warranting any... I mean, he talked about 1958 and 1962 and Ercola being the premier. Which was true. Well, that was a fact. Right? Ercola became the prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago in 1962 after independence.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we all know what happened at Marlborough House with Capildeo and Ercola preceding that and, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't know why that even was a discussion.
But this is my point, and this is my point with academic people who sometimes tend to be very idle, let me put it bluntly, because we could get down into some really truths. It's like telling us how many people came on the ship. Why are we discussing that? And it's a truth.
You mean the Fakir Razak?
Yeah. And it's maybe very true that 90 people came and where they went and where they settled, all those things are true. But the other part, when you, and I know you did philosophy, so you'll understand the Greek test, is of what value are these things.
Yeah, what's value?
If it doesn't, it could be true, but of no value, then...
To the discussion, or to the unless, of course, there's some guidance.
Then you put a context in it.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, he did not give a context to the discussion.
Well, at least what we saw in newspapers.
Well, for real, and we were not seeing like a 4-part series on historical inaccuracies. I could say it like that, you know? But at a time...
Because Dr. Lovell Francis, former Minister of Education, he chucked it down to pseudo intellect discussions, which really Dr. Mayu is a well-known historian and political scientist.
But and again, when you cross the field into politics and active politics, the perception is totally different.
Exactly.
And you lose your objectivity. Good, and you lose it quite quickly because people say, "Look, he batting for the red. She batting for the yellow." When really and truly, your economics might be quite correct. But you will be seen as giving UNC economics, which then no such thing exists. Is either you're correct or not. So that discussion, I like how you put it, the storm in the teacup. That's a very apt description. But these academic people need to spare us plenty times.
And we academics also.
Yeah. Some of these academic people need to spare us the litany of woes and the corrections of... Now, there are much more productive ways of correcting that story, and there are much more productive ways of edifying the public. Time and place, independence, no fireworks, people up in their feelings about different things, and you come to bust the mark that... I mean...
Hey, let me welcome our third umpire this evening. Simoya, what's happening?
Good,
How was your weekend?
Nice, very nice discussion. Very weekend was relaxing, but you know, as he said, the timing, I was looking at the poor timing of that type of, I don't know if to say announcement.
Analysis.
What is the benefit of that
No,
right now?
but it's already rooted in history. I mean, you can't change, you can't bend history. You can't change history unless it's Columbus. Right? But
Take down Columbus.
oh, the Columbus history.
Yeah, but what is the relevance of doing that right now? I just feel, you know, people already a bit sensitive. Just let this thing, it just wasn't necessary.
And we have to be careful, and you know, in this public here, we get riled up because they are defenders of a particular cause, and they're supporters of a particular cause.
Let me take a call.
Yes.
I mean, people listening to us also. Good evening, caller.
Let me take a call. Yes. People listening to us also. Good evening, caller.
Hello?
Yes, caller.
Yeah, good evening, good evening. History is history, and whatever sentiment is expressed only gets life when we give it life. So if we don't discuss the matter, that's a dead issue.
That's why
as the Prime Minister said, it's a non-issue. And
that's why the Prime Minister said what she said.
Yeah, she says a non-issue. So we now giving it life. But separate from that, I really want to go down in the historical aspect of it, because whether right or wrong, it remains what it is. We can't change that.
Exactly.
So as you say before, removing the Columbus statue doesn't change the history of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Caribbean, or wherever he went. So we will leave that as is. It remains as is. I want to look at the BRICS country and how we now looking forward and moving forward. So the BRICS countries, as far as my assessment of your discussion was heading, is that they're looking to change or to develop a new currency. Going back historically, England is what we were dealing with before, the pound, and the British pound, regardless of the US dollar or the euro dollar as it was, remains of its particular value. It hasn't changed, regardless of the financial circumstances in England. And European countries had tried that before, and they come up with the euro dollar, and today I ask where it is. America has their currency, and it is what we have been looking for, or all the rest of the countries has been working towards, and they stand alone and remains of its particular value also.
But do you understand? Do you understand why America, through Saudi Arabia, that deal in the 70s with Nixon, why America removed its currency from backed by gold and made it the world reserve currency? Do you understand why they did that, and what was the intention?
Yeah. No, be that as it may, we are where we are now. And going back to all of these things doesn't justify anything moving forward. What we're looking at, what I am looking at is into the future. So India now has decided now to give up some of their sovereignty and join BRICS. You'll have to form now a group now and have certain conditions and regulations to follow that. It doesn't mean to say that they will stop trading with America or anybody else.
No, they didn't.
And if the BRICS countries, if the BRICS country all decide to move a particular way, America won't twiddle their thumbs and sit down there and allow the economy to fall. They will do things. It's not about Donald Trump. It's about American policy and the value of American currency as they move forward. We as a small country down here now have to work with whoever is the biggest and best trading partner. That doesn't mean to say we wouldn't trade with the rest of the world, but we just adopt. So I ain't looking at that, because we have to follow whatever takes place by the leaders. So the leading countries in the world are those that have that financial currency that we depend on, and also the things that we trade with. So we will do our part down here as it relates to that as we're moving forward. If we stick in the past and look at what happened and why this happened and why that happened and trala, then we're not really moving forward. We are here now, and how do we go forward? So in doing things now, we have to look at what happens, because if we don't do that, then we looking to take sides and say this and say that and trala, and how does Trinidad really progress?
I agree with your caller, 100%.
So we now have to do what we have to do. So while we're looking at America with Venezuela and what is happening, is there anything Trinidad could do to tell America go back? We could force them back, we could do anything. If the whole Caribbean come together and say, look, we want here a place of peace, can you tell America go back? America will do whatever they want to do. They are forced to reckon with. We don't have a choice. We have to align ourselves accordingly. People may not agree.
But who
there
could,
may be
who
those
could,
for and
who you think who you think could reckon with American force?
Right now, nobody. America stands alone. They have bases all over the world. It's a force to reckon with.
That day I will disagree with you, but okay, go ahead. I'll disagree with you there.
Anything happens to show who is mightier will be a nuclear war, and all of us will be annihilated.
I am not saying that's what I want to know, but I'm saying there are a lot of people. That band of that grouping by itself could reckon with, and they have already indicated. I mean, if you look at what's going on today and tomorrow with China's celebration of its I don't know if to call it independence, but if you look at what's going on, you would see who's there. Kim just traveled by train and is in China now.
Yeah, Kim Jong-un.
And
yes. No.
you now have a situation where you have the most powerful military alliance in the world.
So let me jump in here, caller, and read something that was posted 12 minutes ago. The U.S. opens fire on a Venezuelan boat in the Caribbean. U.S. Donald Trump, U.S. President, announced during a White House press conference this afternoon that the U.S. military had shot out a boat carrying drugs out of Venezuela. His statement was shortly after confirmed by the U.S. State Secretary Marco Rubio, who posted to X that the U.S. military had conducted a lethal strike in the southern Caribbean. So,
whatever transpired between Venezuela and America, all I'm saying is that the Caribbean islands has no force and has no power to send anybody back. We not, as the bigger countries, and have any force that we can now dictate any pace. My issue is simple.
That boat was really drugs, right?
No, that is a report from America. I am sure when we get the Venezuelan view, it might be something different. And there'll be conflicting reports.
I am sure also.
But the issue here now is not really that to the extent, is that at the end of the day, let me assume there's a war and a fight, because America go down with matching force to match Venezuela in their estimation. They understand what they're doing. They are a warring nation, they know what they're doing. So in doing that now, let us assume there's a war and one side win or one side lose. What happens to the Caribbean, and how do we move?
Well, that's the question. That's the question we have been asking ourselves all the time.
But caller, my deeper issue is this, caller. Before this, we have expressed issues with Venezuela, if we're truthful. And people not being truthful about our relationship with our neighbors. We've been having neighborly spat all the time. First thing, we blame them for bringing in all the drugs. They say the bombs coming in from Venezuela. Then they say we kidnapping the fisherman. Right? So Venezuelans kidnapping the fisherman, etc., etc. Then the Venezuelan women coming here seem to be a problem for certain people and certain groups in society.
Especially women.
So we've been complaining about, before America sent any boat, we had issue with this neighbor. Put that into context to with the issue with Guyana. We also had an issue there. America comes now and brings the ship. Suddenly, we're in love with Venezuela now. Now we're very protectant. Our neighbors, and we carry come and solidarity forever and all this. I don't know. I always say, if you're tracking two girls at the same time, you have to be careful.
One of them will have a problem.
One of them will have a problem. And we seemingly want to court Venezuela and court US at the same time.
Well, my view is slightly along the same line, but a little different. Trinidad is under tremendous pressure by the migration of Venezuelans into Trinidad. We have to find food, place for them to stay. Also, I think at the same time they're providing labor at a cheap rate, and I think so several things happening. We can balance it out, but we can't. We have to find food places for them.
Say the same thing about us. Maybe why
Caller, on that point too, I want to add in this, because you sound like you are wrong a while, right? Before now, you talk about migration problem. You know, Trinidadians work in Venezuela in droves. we found serious employment when Venezuelan oil was up there. You know, we went there in droves and found family and living and all this kind of a thing. You know that, right? Our relationship with Venezuela didn't start the other day.
Well, a big part of the South basically is Venezuelans, when saying.
Yes.
And if you go back in history, we were part of the Colombian whole country and that part of the continent then. And we separated, and there are lots of Venezuelan things that we have here coming out of Spain and Trinidad and all kind of thing. But that's history.
Yes.
My issue is present.
Right.
My issue is present. You know, when we deal with now, so you are now whatever age you are.
Yes.
And you can talk about how you reached to where you are, the things you went through, the difficulties, the challenges, but you are here now.
Right.
And you're now looking forward. We're looking into the future. In doing that now, we have to find places and conditions for ourselves, finances, and also things for our children, and for where we're looking now to change the culture and move into another realm of thinking. So while we're talking all kind of fancy things in electronics and trial and all kind of thing, we now have to now position ourselves now, whereby now we'll be able to do things now that will now be in par with the rest of the world.
Yes.
Now, whoever the forces are that will dictate that pace, whether it's the BRICS country, whether it is USA, whoever it is, we will have to contend with that. So in doing that now, whoever is in charge, whether it's this present government or another one, or even ourselves, in our mind and our thinking, we have now to look at that now and say, look, this is where we want to be. It might be the best position to be at this point in time. And at the same time, looking to benefit from all around. So let us assume there's a war, Venezuela fixed, we go get dragon gas. If that is needed, if we don't find we own gas. If that is what it takes to move Trinidad forward, which I don't believe. I believe there are other methods. Gas could be one of the issue. Petroleum will be one of the issue, but we can do other things that will make Trinidad a better financial place than we think. We need to brainstorm. We need to take all the ideas from people like yourselves and others, put it now together now, and let us now work in such a fashion that we will align ourselves internationally, which part we will surely benefit. It's the only way we can move forward.
Maybe we should,
and
do,
our
like
thinking
maybe we should do like Hungary.
Yeah.
And Victor Orban.
and caller, you're so correct, because the reality of the situation is very different from the textbook. And I have said Venezuela could have oil for free. We can't do anything with it unless the Yankees say so.
Hey, you know, Turkey was part of Turkey's a part and NATO, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Turkey was in the SEO conference.
Yes. So we have to be very careful. I agree with you. How we reason this thing going forward.
You know, I like to envision 5 years from now, where and how we're going to be thinking, and what is really going to happen at 5 years from now.
Why 5 years, caller? Why are you only saying 5? Why 5 such a short time?
Well, development doesn't happen overnight.
That's why I agree with you. 5 years is a short time. We just had a court case here tie up for 15 years.
No, in 5 years. In 5 years, we're heading in that direction.
All right.
So now we actually know where we're going. So now we begin now to navigate now in such a fashion that we will land at that destination that we're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, but the man who say he planning for 5 years, right? He might be out of office in 5 years, right? And hence the reason why
we may not be around too.
Right. Well, the problem with all of that is that we configure our system is political system is configured woefully wrong.
Yes.
Right? We should be planning for 20 and 30 years like what serious countries do.
Yeah.
So I mean
good now in that now remember now there's a different dispensation when people now become more mature. Yeah. Let me throw that a little thing to you all. If you all have children, I am sure that you are planning for your children's future. You would have started with education, then you're looking at a particular job and you would have cultivated them a particular way. But that doesn't mean to say that it will follow what your teachings are and what you have projected for them. They will now probably move away from all of that and probably choose to go and live in England or America or somewhere about the place and abandon all the hard work that you have put in. And that is what we face. We face uncertainty in almost everything that we look at. I'm sure your parents would have done the same thing with you all. And things happen different. Today I'm speaking to Mr. Matterson. I've been listening to him for a very long time. And in his views hasn't changed much, but he's also projecting where the world is heading and what is happening. He's not sure where it will end, but we have to look at that in that perspective, that we will now be part of the movement towards that destination. And this is what I am looking at the thing. So I will leave the umpires now to follow up and allow others now to interject and
all right, thank you,
what we have.
Let me take this next caller. And yeah, good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yeah. Okay. I want to address a statement that one of your umpires made earlier. You see, to the untrained ear, it might go amiss, but to someone who does hermeneutics and is a student of clinical psychology, I recognize it for what it is. It's a Hitler agenda. And let me explain. He said that, you know, based on the climate that we have with the parade, etc., and to bust the mark of what Dr. Mayhew said, you could only bust a mark if it's true to know. So is he trying to say, as I said, the Hitler agenda, that Dr. Mayhew is right when he said that Dr. Eric Williams was not the first prime minister? You see, this is the Hitler agenda, because if it is you want to make a lie a reality, you make it a big one, and you continually repeat it until people accept it as facts. And I'm glad that the media picked it up and they have something to say about it so that it will not continue as a lie to the citizenry, to then accept it as reality, which is to change the reality and the narrative and our history, because they are really trying to do that. And I think what we need to also address is the fact that while it is, the lady said that, you know, the Prime Minister didn't leave the country because of the climate, and it was sort of a risk, just like in the last time with Dr. Rick Williams, and that is totally false, because the big risk about people safety and, you know, certain ministers and you know, they are at risk. You go on and to dump us for cricket. What risk you within? And if you were really at risk, then you decided to put everybody in that stadium life at risk. That is the most irresponsible act for any minister in the country. So then we have to ask, who these people really dealing with? Who are they really for? Are they for the country? Are they for the people, the citizens of the country? Or are they just so blatantly lying to us and showing off about it that you went in a public place and ramage and gallery, putting it in our face and say, hey, take that, because you're too stupid or you can't do nothing about it, and all you have to take whatever we say. This is what we need to be looking and addressing. Right. Not the fact that a man trying to put a lie and make it a truth and then try to assist him and say he bust a mark. That is disgusting. And whether you like it or you don't like it, I'm telling you, it's disgusting to make it sound like if it is the man tell the truth by saying he bust a mark. What nastiness is that? That's evil, brother. That's evil.
Caller. Hello?
Yeah, he gone.
Caller, he gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Next caller.
But what first thing, I didn't hear Dr. Mayhew say that Eric Williams was the first prime minister. I heard, you saw that or heard that?
No.
Yeah, I know you talk about Dr. Eric Williams being the premier of Trinidad and Tobago from 1958, well, all through Federation. In truth and in fact, since 1956, he was the premier of Trinidad and Tobago. You know that from history.
Yeah.
And in 1962, he became the prime minister.
Yeah.
Right? But what?
I don't think the caller heard the comment, so I was trying to get him to stay on the line to explain what he said, but I don't think he heard the comment, because it's I that made the remark, but he didn't hear the context of the discussion. Because we were not saying, in fact, that Dr. Kirk Mayhew bust a mark. We were saying that it is inappropriate. Actually, we felt it was inappropriate at the time to even try to bust a mark, for want of a better word. Whether
Whether he was right or wrong.
Yeah. We were not discussing whether it was, you know, whether it was a lie or it wasn't a lie. I'm not only
And I think to a large extent what was said by all the parties, because, you know, a lot of other historians came on and said something.
Yeah.
I think what was said, all of them was correct. I mean, sometimes it was what it looked like. It was really inappropriate what Dr. Kirk Mayhew was understood to be saying at the time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was like a storm in a teacup. It wasn't really necessary.
And that's what you said even when I was driving here. So we it's not a matter of in support of anything. And I mean, people will have their perceptions about the discussions, but that is actually inaccurate as far as we were discussing at all. We were actually not in support of anything like that.
Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. Caller, good evening.
Yes, good afternoon to the third umpires. To the third umpires. We have our female umpire there. Standing at square leg, and then we have
I can't watch harassment case going on, so I'm watching the next direction. I ain't going through that. I might get a case.
But Tony Cozier will say, well, the female umpire is standing up as a policeman doing his duty on Lower Broad Street.
You're so correct, Carola. You're correct.
Carola, not easy.
No, but there's some Tony Cozier and Andrew Mason. These fellows, they create this kind of sceneries in the commentary. They don't comment like all these fellows comment on you know, without no humor in it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Understand about the federal, just Prime Minister and the Federation. Now there are 4 candidates for the in priority for the Prime Minister of the Federation. Number 1 was Grantley Adams, Norman Manley after, and then Dr. Williams stood. Now the thing is, as far as I know, the title of the job, although they were premiers in their separate countries, but the title of the job for the Federation was Prime Minister. You know?
Yes.
Right? And then we had a governor.
I think because Grantley Adams was that person, I think he was seen as the Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister. So it was really not semantics, but it was really is a question of perspectives on how you look at it in history.
No, the British government at the time, they were the people who had, you know, who encouraged the Federation, right? And that is why Grantley Adams has to be the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago because of the title that was ascribed, the leadership title that was ascribed to the Federation, right? Because it comes like I raised the point earlier today. A man and a woman are living together, right? Now there's a stepchild. But the mother wouldn't tell, and the stepchild growing up thinking that the man in the house, which is his stepfather, is his father. Only to know 12 years or 13 years after, no, his mother will tell him, no, that man in the house is not your father. Your father is somebody living in Tokos and Grandi. Right? So we have to be something, but I just think, I mean the issue is no massive issue, but from intellectually, I believe Dr. Mayhew doing his work, because in politics they teach you that they always test the waters.
Yeah.
Right? To raise up controversial topics. When you
see, Trinidad and Tobago never really recognized federation after we dropped out of it in 1962? After we dropped out of it, we never really recognized federation as anything. So I could understand the historians who would say, well, really and truly the prime minister, we didn't have a prime minister at the time, we had a premier, and Grantley Adams could not have been our prime minister, right? But if you look at it, this is what I'm saying, as perspectives, look at different perspectives will have it that the first prime minister really of Trinidad and Tobago was Grantley Adams, because he was the man chosen to lead as the prime minister in federation.
Yes, that's a fact. That's a perspective. That is a fact. That is what the British government implemented, right? So we have to live with that. But this thing about I agree with Prime Minister. I mean, is a thing. But from an academic point of view, it's an interesting topic because a lot of people, as I say, I would like to hear Dr. and Professor Beckel's interpretation of that from UWE and Cable and Barbados. Right? Because up to the day, I haven't heard any of our local political scientists, making any major statement on it. But I do not. So I am still awaiting. But because I also have a degree, I do have a PhD. But Dr. Kurt Megu on this PhD. I have a bachelor's in government, HRM, and international relations, a major and 2 minors. Right? And then I also have a certificate in public administration, and then I passed 3/4 of my master's, and then I just get tired and I call that a day.
Call.
Right?
We can hire, you know.
Well, I went to interview a chairman, and a man on the panel telling me, your problem is you have too much qualification. I never forget that. But I love, since I grew up, when I was growing up, my mother will tell me, take your book. So up to today, I love this thing. I can't do nothing else more than book and read and write. Right? And I told you, my parents didn't have much schooling. My father only could sign his name, and my mom only reached third standard. But she used to buy newspaper, the big Guardian, the Guardian was a massive spread. And I would lie down on the floor, read the old papers and tell her what's going on. Yeah. And I think it's a blessing, it's a talent I have which I maintain today. All right, the other thing, I was hearing Mr. Wendell Motley talking last night, and he talking about Westminster system. And I keep telling the people, there is nothing like a Westminster system, it's Westminster.
Yeah, Westminster.
Right? Which are different, right? And I don't know how it is. Another thing, before I leave, I heard a statement from our opposition spokesman over the weekend talking about CARICOM could be akin to a cabinet. CARICOM is not a state; it's a number of states, right? And the 3 arms of our government is the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Yeah. And on top of that, CARICOM does not. Let me put it academically. In CARICOM, the doctrine of collective responsibility, do not reside.
Yes.
Right.
So you're correct, caller. You're correct.
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing. When I sit down here and I be saying, but and that's what I'm saying. We need to have a massive effort in educating people in politics and trade.
Even the politicians.
Yeah, even the politicians.
Yeah.
Right? I train in politics. I could be a prime minister here, with my qualifications,
Well,
right?
You don't have to be a qualification, but is who was it? Mannins who said you just had to have a level head and what? A brain.
Yeah. But under the British common system, the British parliamentary system, they say anybody could be a minister, a carpenter, a labourer, anybody, right? Yeah. So, but there I go. Before I go, Manu also said that Trinidad is not easy to lead. But when he went to Jamaica in 1991, when he won the election, addressing PJ Patterson, a crowd, he said he cannot be all thing. He cannot be all thing to all people.
Who in Trinidad was called King Olokunik Barrow?
Mr. Robinson.
Right. Okay. Yeah, bright fella. Go to the head of the class. Let me take our next call.
Okay, I'm from the east,
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, so much to unpack.
We do have to. I mean, we do have to get in. The call is still there.
No.
Right. I heard them. Yeah, we do have to really sometimes decipher things, and that is the other level of intelligence. Apart from there's the truth and there's not the truth and this is the truth, because we have to also have a discussion on value, timing, and everything else. We know that, especially even in the workplace, we have that issue. And I know you as HR people have to be very careful of how much you disclose. You know, because workers just want to know, how come she get to leave and I don't get to leave? How come she get to work from home?
You know, as you're on that, you know, the guy in Tobago who would have interfered with it, well, not interfered with the little boy, showed his private pass or whatever on camera to the little boy.
Yeah.
He lost his work?
Yeah.
What's the implication of that? I mean,
Mr. Benjamin, Hanif Benjamin.
Hanif Benjamin, he lost the train authority for him.
He was working for the THA.
THA, right, THA. Yeah, so what you have to say about that, Madam HR, in terms of what could have possibly come out of that termination? Or what could have...
Well, one of the last discussions we had, was it last week or so, you were talking about even if someone is guilty, the process still has to go through.
Right, so, but the man in jail.
Right, so now we at that point, he is in jail. He cannot defend himself.
He in jail or he on bail?
He's on bail.
He on bail?
He's out on bail?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but the matter hasn't been ventilated in court, so you can't really fine him for that. Correct? Unless you do your process.
But having him around will mess with the reputation of the organization.
Well, I now go to say that.
Yes, exactly.
Loss of confidence.
Yes.
They
Trust and
make
confidence.
a decision on that, but they could expect a fight.
But I've seen situations similar to that.
Yeah.
Where it is dealt with by the police, and it is also dealt with by the company, and the company ended up losing the case because they have no merits. They didn't do what they were supposed to do in the first place, and they had no merits for terminating the gentleman, unless, of course, that he was arrested by the police. Right? But you are innocent until proven guilty. So,
and trust and confidence, mutual trust and confidence in the employment context still has to be evidenced. Because you can't tell me you're a teacher, you get found guilty at thieving coconuts, and the employer say, well, you can't be a good teacher anymore because you understand. However, if it's something sexual with children, if it's something that compromises your function, and HR, any responsible HR will have to do what they have to do. And if they're wrong, they'll just have to bite the bullet.
Let me take this call. Good evening, caller, because caller, good evening.
Hey guys, good evening. All right, I'll be very brief. I like the question that I think Mr. Matheson asked a couple of callers down. The thoughts on the opposition's comments about the Prime Minister missing the CARICOM event, the CARICOM forum. Yeah, from my assessment, honestly, I think this current opposition, they're really just up to making mischief. You know, everything I see from them is just not really merit-based, just to stir up confusion. And it has me wondering, what's the media's line of integrity? You know, not everything from the opposition we should be promoting. To be all honestly, and just to add another context, they were in leadership for 9 years. So a lot of what the current administration dealing with, and we as citizens still dealing with, is the ramifications, the continuation of what they would have done. So the best thing, I think, and really truly, all I would want to hear from this current opposition is just silence, or just what honest suggestions you have and you should have had to correct the economy, right? Because you again 9 years in office and you had intentions to come back in office, so surely you should have had plans. So that's my brief contribution there, guys.
Yeah, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, before you say what you had to say, Ronaldo, we had at 2 hours, I should say, 2 hours running very fast, very insightful discussions, and the last hour, we saved the last hour to be the best hour. We saved the best for last, so we'll be bringing you some really, really insightful discussion on employment law and HR and that kind of thing. So just you'll tune in to us in the last hour when we will discuss it. We'll be going to take a break shortly. What are you doing now?
No, I was going to say, I heard the leader of opposition say that, you know, we're missing Mr. Imbert. I don't know where she get that feeling from. I was confused.
Missing Mr. Imbert?
Yeah, that we showing this because of obviously
pain and suffering, right?
the financial issues.
I raised gas, they didn't riot. Erase it again, and
she seemed to think. So
they seem not to understand why.
You know, when the children of Israel came out of the promised land, it had people tell them, well, they should have stayed.
They're in opposition and they even
because the desert was hard. The desert was hard. The reality of freedom. Listen to me. Freedom could be a frightening thing. Eh? Independence is not all too good. You know, it has some people don't want that independence. We'll discuss that after the break. The French, Martinique and Guadeloupe say it's okay. We will stay French. It's okay. We will stay French.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come back after the break.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
The Street 919 FM is here to help our community. We know that back to school season can be a financial strain, so we're giving back with our Each One Help One Part 2 giveaway. We're giving away one $500 voucher for back to school supplies and plenty of consolation prizes. Here's how to enter. Every day at 3 p.m. after the ads, we'll take our first 3 callers. You must start your call with the special access phrase, Each One Help One Part 2. To be eligible, nominate someone in need by giving us their name. We will draw the winners live on Tuesday, September 2nd at 3 p.m. on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Get ready to call and help us make a difference.
Transform your soups and stews with the rich flavor of Lion Brand Split Peas Powder. Packaged in a handy, easy-to-use pouch. It's never been simpler to add depth and nutrition to your meals. Whether it's a cozy family dinner or a small line with close friends, Lion Brand Split Peas Powder helps you create delicious dishes that bring people closer. Elevate your cooking and share the goodness with those you love. Lion Brand, the power behind our great taste traditions.
Calling all choir. This is TNT's first gospel choir event of its kind. It's finally here. This is Divine Harmony. Choirs from all over the country will vie for over $250,000 in prizes. Semi-final round. The East-West Corridor. Saturday, September 20th. Central and South Trinidad. Saturday, September 27th. And Tobago. Saturday, October 4th. To register, call 719-9599. TNT. Get ready. This is Divine Harmony.
Everybody sing it.
Light up your weekends at Vibes Nightclub, Tobago's hottest spot. 3 epic nights of music and energy await every Thursday. Karaoke Thursdays. Kick off at 8 p.m. with free entry. Grab the mic, unleash your inner star, and sing all night. Beers on special for $10, 2 Campari for $25, and giveaways for the best singers. Every Friday, Limers Fridays. Kick off at 8 p.m. with free entry. Vibes with your crew and enjoy beers on special for $10, 2 Campari for $25, and 2 White Oak for $25. Every Saturday, Raw Saturdays. Everything goes, nothing but good vibes. Free entry and an all-star DJ cast to bring the vibes. Vibes Nightclub is where Tobago shines. Join us Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for music, fun, and unforgettable nights. Don't miss out. Your weekend starts at Vibes.
The Gap Man Limited specializes in products that cater to all your health needs. The Male Enhancement Package targets the areas of the body that contribute to erectile dysfunction. The Male Enhancements cost $1,400. The Gap pills are priced at 250 pills for $500 and 500 pills for just $900. For the best in eye care, get the super combination of a Super Bright and the Body Healer. To improve the heart's function and circulation, get the Gap pills and Formula C. To get a total body cleanse daily, use the Gap Body Healer and Big C, all for a super low price of $1,300. To order your products from the Gap Man Limited, call 628-4531 for products that cater to all your health needs.
For more info, contact 476-7268.
Planning your Tobago getaway? Choose the highest Google-rated car rental company on the island, O'Neill Auto Rentals Tobago. Located just minutes from the A&R Robinson International Airport, at O'Neill, we pride ourselves on being the most tech-savvy car rental company in Tobago. Our process is 100% digital. No paperwork, no long lines. From easy pickup to seamless returns, renting a car in Tobago has never been simpler. WhatsApp us now at 1-868-361-1042 to book your vehicle. Don't forget to mention promo code Radio2 to receive a 5% discount on your rental. Send a WhatsApp message to 1-868-361-1042 today. That's 1-868-361-1042. O'Neill Auto Rentals Tobago, the easiest, most reliable car rental experience on the island.
Vehicle availability is subject to change. Driver must be at least 25 years old and have a valid driver's license to book. For more information, visit www.rentalcartobago.com.
Craving that authentic taste of the Caribbean but short on time? With Lion Brand Purr Luri Mix. Now in its convenient, easy-to-use pouch, you can whip up a batch of fluffy, golden Purr Luri in a flash. Just add water, mix, and fry. Perfect for impromptu gatherings. Our Purr Luri Mix brings everyone together for a delicious moment. Share the flavor with friends and family, because good food and good company go hand in hand. Get your Lion Brand Purr Luri Mix today and make every moment a tasty celebration. Lion Brand, the power behind our great taste traditions.
The Embassy Yacht is back and ready to transform your events into unforgettable experiences. Launched from King's Wharf, San Fernando, the perfect starting point for an epic experience of luxury, music, and celebration on the open water. By booking our vessel, your event will include a house DJ, state-of-the-art sound system, fully stocked bar, dedicated cleaning crew, top-notch security. This isn't just a venue, it's a floating masterpiece designed to make your event the talk of the town. Imagine your guests dancing under the stars, drinks in hand, with breathtaking views of the coastline as your backdrop. From birthdays to corporate events to exclusive parties, the Embassy Yacht offers promoters a unique platform to create unforgettable memories and boost your brand's reputation. Call or WhatsApp 399-5959 or email embassycruises@gmail.com.
New celebration, what's the occasion? Superior playing, fresh new season, same great flavor. Now that the fans begun, we gonna crush it all. KFC for the CPL. Who will rise, baby, time will tell. Wake up, rise up, stand up. Superior time, let me chase that crunch. Yeah.
Chase the crunch with KFC and TKR this CPL.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, callers and listeners, we are back. And of course, we ended a little while ago talking about the termination of the gentleman who would have been making news over the last few weeks with regards to the being head of what was he head of? He was head of what? Children Authority in the THA?
The Children Division.
Children Division in THA, and he would have been caught doing some stuff with a little boy, and he was terminated eventually. What is your position on that termination?
Well, as we were saying, this is a very, very sensitive issue because...
But the man was terminated, eh?
Yeah, that's the thing. Now, we were discussing last week that you can't just terminate someone. You have to go through the process. You have to give them the opportunity to explain, to defend themselves, etc. But... this, as Ronaldo said, it goes to the root of the employment contract. This is a serious case of gross misconduct, and the company is now brought into disrepute because everyone else associated with that part of the business, they will lose the trust of the citizens. These are children.
So we like to look at...
So he was Director of Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
Huh.
Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
My gosh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we like to look at issues and dissect it using our own lens as professionals. So it is not necessarily what we are talking about here, or how we may analyze this particular situation, because we don't have all the facts. We will say what should happen. Correct?
Yes.
Right. So in a case like this, we are saying that a parallel investigation could have been going on. That is an investigation by the police in this case, and an investigation by the THA. And therefore the THA, having had the information that it had before it, could have made a decision to terminate the gentleman once they would have done all the necessaries, the due process and that kind of thing. There are some companies, however, that I know of, situations that I know of, where you have a situation like that, they didn't do any investigation, but because the worker was held by the police, they went ahead and terminate without doing their own investigation or without doing their own following their process. And as a result of it, the worker would have won the matter if he goes to court with it. This may not necessarily be the case, because of course the teacher might have done his homework. In any case, this would have been a case that would have gone to the root of that man's employment contract. And it would have interfered with the reputation of the THA also.
The charges of sexual communication and engaging in sexual activity in the presence of a child, a 15-year-old, were laid under the Children's Act by Corporal Cassie of the Child Protection Unit. Benjamin, 47, a trauma specialist, was detained at the end of July. Police officers, including from the Special Victims Department, were involved in an investigation after it was alleged that Mr. Benjamin showed a 15-year-old his private parts during a phone or video conversation.
I am struggling to understand what would you be doing on a video call with a 15-year-old. I'm trying to understand. This isn't a relative.
No, that was already a factor. I mean, the mother tape it or whatever.
No. That's what I'm saying. Just this statement he read here, that's highly inappropriate. This person is not your relative. How do you think this is going to look? You know, I don't think that this gentleman really thought through how bad this thing could get.
But for those who might say, well, they should not have told me, how do you rationalize what would have happened, the exchange would have put on the THA or the unit that you're in, and you not being terminated?
I'm still trying to find the
that
connection.
question might arise at some point.
You are a trauma specialist.
What is your position on that?
Well, definitely, we understand that they're always saying that the employer doesn't have to meet the thresholds of the law. So any tribunals or anything, any investigation in the employment context is not a police investigation. An employer is not expected to conduct a police investigation.
You don't necessarily have to get the investigation or the investigator or even a witness from
Correct.
the police to say anything.
But
to deal with what you had to deal with.
Where there's obvious evidence and credible evidence in the public domain, especially, and tangible evidence, which is not guilt, and let's make that clear. People can have evidence, the court will do what it has to do, the police has done what they have to do, lay that charge, and that will go through what we call due process, and industrial relations and employment law subscribes to due process as well. So one would hope that the employer did their due diligence. Apart from hearing and seeing, you could find out, and there might be more furtive support for the decision you make. But then you have to balance your responsibility to your clients. And the THA has a serious responsibility. Part of his role has to do with social protection. And minors, in interacting with minors may be part of the course. And you do not want to fall circumvent action by failing in your duty to protect your clients, by ignoring what may or may not be in the public domain. Sometimes, instead of dismissals, they use administrative leave. pending.
No, instead of suspension.
Yes, suspension. Pending outcomes and pending charges.
But in this case, this was clearly a situation where it might have gone to not just the root of the employment contract, but it might have interfered with the reputation of the company, the THA
because
also.
I do know, I am privy to, and many of us might be. I had a co-worker who's now deceased. We used to teach together in Tobago, who was charged with an issue with a minor, suspended by the commission.
Tobago thing.
Yeah. He got off the case, the sexual charge, and sued the commission and bought a boat.
Wow.
Okay?
From the proceeds.
From the proceeds. So we have to be very careful. Law and emotion is two different things.
Yeah, it is.
And we might be very emotional about something. But even this gentleman, just as any employee has rights, you know, and we tell employers all that at the time, you know. Employers like to tell you, get rid of him and fire him, like if it's somebody, a puppy you pick up on the road. That is not correct. Due process, you know, and you know what the law says about dismissal. The employment law says, you know, if a man on murder, capital offense, has the right of an appeal in the court, how much more does a man in it for his job?
Which is like a capital offense.
Yes, a dismissal is like a capital offense. So we want to be very balanced in the analysis.
And I tell employers all the time, if you have a full tribunal, you do everything, and at the end of that tribunal, that worker come and say, listen, or his representative come and say, listen, we have evidence that XYZ wasn't followed, and we want an appeal.
Yeah, you have to read.
You have to allow for the appeal to take place. Because you go in and send a man is sent into the gallows.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why they is vexed with the industrial court. Because when they reach in that place in St. Vincent Street, and they start to analyze your due process or your lack of due process or your
Let me take this caller.
Yes.
Somebody call. Good evening, caller. Caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. And Mr. Moya, listeners. You know, trouble me to try to understand how some things is happening in this country. Nonetheless, this matter, it has already passed at being an allegation because of the presence of the evidence that was taken by the parent. Well, though we have terminated wherever this is employed, termination based.
Caller, we hardly hearing what you're saying. I mean, you're breaking up a lot, but check your reception. Something wrong somewhere. Fix it and call us back now. Good evening, caller. Good evening,
Hello,
caller.
good afternoon. I want to ask a question. I want to put all you on a spot with a question. If you was the Minister of Health and you watching a program like this and you hear a caller calling and say that he got a prescription, but because the prescription requirement was a brand name product, and he went to the pharmacy to get it, the internal pharmacy in the hospital to get it, and they tell him because of the name of the brand or the product on the prescription that they can't give him the prescription. He had to go back to the doctor and get him to remove that name before they could fill the prescription. How would you deal with that member of staff?
That sounds like something serious. I mean, if you're telling me to remove the brand name, why would the brand name be important?
But that's the same thing. because to me, if you don't have the brand, if the doctor recommend a brand, the doctor must recommend that for a reason.
Right. So
and if you don't have the brand,
you know, you have
if you don't have the brand, I think you should you know, the closest thing you have next day that will do the same, will serve the same purpose. I think you should give the patient that. How we could have a patient going and coming because of a name on a prescription. So how would you deal with a member of staff like that?
Well, dealing with the member staff, it may not necessarily. Member staff might be telling you, well, we have a drug similar to it. You've been told that in the drugstore all the time. You have a drug similar to it, which could be used. But if it is that your doctor saying that in particular, maybe you may clarify from your doctor if you could use the similar drugs. I mean, that's the only thing I can think about.
Well, all right. I hear what you're saying. What you're saying makes sense, but it didn't go down that way. You put someone with the prescription to the pharmacy that's having the hospital now. But just because the doctor put a brand name on the drug that they're supposed to get, they didn't give the patient an option. They gave the patient like an order. Go back and let the doctor remove this name from here. Otherwise, they can't fill the prescription.
Well, the better thing, in my opinion, the better thing for the worker to have said was that we don't have that drug. I mean, maybe you should go and get filled in the pharmacy or something.
All right, but they have the drug. They have the drug and they have it by name. But just chose not to give it because the doctor put the brand name on the prescription. I wonder if I'm making sense, if you understand.
You're making sense, but you have to understand their position too, because if they give the patient something different from what the doctor would have recommended, then they could have some liability, some risk involved. I'm thinking here.
Okay.
If not, then the better thing might have been to say, well, we don't have that here, we don't have that version of it here. You have to fill that in the pharmacy, external pharmacy.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right, and that makes sense, but that is not what happened. They have the drug, they have the name, the brand name of the drug, but they just don't like how the doctor put the drug and the brand name that he wanted to get.
Well, if something happens, right? The person who will more than likely be at risk for anything will be the pharmacist. So the pharmacist would have said it. I think the pharmacist would have said, maybe she didn't say to go back and she said go back. She might have said go back and clarify that with your doctor. If find out if the other drug, maybe a similar drug or whatever, could be used. If not, it may have to be filled outside. So that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, no, I'm not against it for thinking that, but I just put in a spin on waiters are trying to explain.
Yeah, I understand.
Because what you're saying is not what happened. They didn't give an option to the patient. They say, well, go back and let the doctor know, well, we don't have this drug, but we have this one, you know, that they could replace with or anything like that. They didn't do anything like that. Right? So what you're saying there, I'm not being offensive or anything. I don't mean anything bad, but it sounds like a spin and moving away from the reality of what I really trying to get across to you. All right, let me draw a simple thing for you, right? You know, cricket going on now, right? And Trinidad had a game, the first game Trinidad had. Now, I'm not a person accustomed to eating out. And went to Five Rivers, Royal Castle to get I wanted a feel for chicken, and I wanted a center breast, a leg, and 2 portion of fries, which I ordered. When I got the order,
the views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Okay, go ahead, caller. Sorry.
Right. When I get the breast, yes, I understand. When I get the breast was so small, I requested that they exchange it for a bigger piece.
You prefer
when I reach home and I sit down to watch the cricket, and I take the first bite, I bite bone, so I went back to the place. They give me a side breast and 2 portions of fry instead of a center breast and a leg. So I call I went back and I called the supervisor and telling myself that I get justice. And I was told that what I got was a side breast instead of the center breast. So she said that they apologized and said that all the chicken pieces small. And what I will do, so I said, well, I will take the center breast and the leg. And here how chop it, here how thing does happen. She gave me back the 2 pieces of chicken in a new box, no chips. So I said, ma'am, my order was the center breast, the leg, and the 2 portions of fries. Then she said that well, they don't eat out of the fries already, so I can't get back no fries. So I be end up in a little argument because I tell her, well, no, I leave from home to come back here. I ain't come back here because I wanted to come back here. All they make me come back here. And I feel even if I eat out of the fries, I supposed to be compensated because gas very expensive and the gas I used to come back here and whatnot and whatnot. And I end up in a very hostile thing. Eventually, I end up getting back 1 portion of chips with my 2 pieces of chicken, which I find was very unfair. So what you would do with a member of staff like that?
Caller, Brazil, when you're in Brazil, you get big breasts. When in Trinidad, it ain't so big. So sometimes you don't understand, you don't know where it is.
See, Diver understand with Trinidad, and anytime you explaining something or you're always spinning, you don't understand. I'll join a same reference to like the prescription. Don't spin. If I am the boss and something like that happens, I will take decisive action. I ain't spinning nothing. And that's what has gone in Trinidad.
But I understand your position, caller. Right?
All right, how about this?
Yeah, thanks.
Madison, you and your callers, boy. You and your callers be talking about employment being breast now and chicken and fries and drugs.
Some people want big breasts. Some people have no problem with small.
Mr. Madison, encourage your callers, please, to stay on topic because we're going to be talking about all kind of things. And somebody might get a charge when the end of the show. One of we might get a harassment charge. Because
looking for some form of justice because he feels as though the employee didn't do their job. But a situation like that is not enough to terminate or severely.
Good evening, caller.
Yeah. I just want to mention, they have 3 new appointments on the industrial court.
Yes.
3 new industrial judges. I just wanted to mention it to you because I didn't hear you. Because that's my other side now, which is my HR side now.
Yeah, we know
so
that.
Just bring it to your attention. Right?
We know that, and that is commendable. Yeah. You have Rudy and Narsing, and 2 other guys. A guy who was there before, and another guy. But and I think there are more to come also.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you.
We cannot intervene in nobody not getting the chicken and the right size of chicken and you eat out the fries what you want. We have no jurisdiction there. And sometimes we go into institutions and complain with the about the employees, and the sense of justice that we want. Because I know some people say if the chicken too big, they don't want the foreign chicken. And that have, what is it having it? Hormones. So one day the chicken too big, the next day it's too small.
Just don't buy it.
Well, that was it. Good? And we make
woman cook your chicken, man.
We make noise with employees like if I choose this piece of chicken for you. Because if everybody come into the establishment looking for big breasts, I want big breasts. That breast too small. Well, that's what I want to know. Good. So that is a conundrum, and again the caller wasn't satisfied that you were not engaging him. First with the tablets and now with the breast. So you and your callers we're talking about employment law and dismissal.
Good evening, caller.
But then you have to balance your responsibility to your clients.
Hello?
Caller, good evening.
Yeah, me again. Sometime last week or a week before, on the industrial relations issue you were talking about, a person is innocent and then proven guilty. And when that person now is found innocent or not guilty, doesn't mean they're innocent. The nation is unforgiving, and we stigmatize them, and it is a wrong thing that we do.
That's why.
But in this case, in this case here, I want to find out something now. Let us assume that the gentleman wins his case. I'm asking three of you all there, would you now reinstate him and would you trust him?
No, not necessarily. We don't know why he won his case in the criminal court, but we don't know why he lost his case by the employer.
And caller added to which
as produced, you have to take those things into consideration, especially a parent is involved and say, listen, I have evidence on my
Not only that, you see the organization may have been brought into disrepute by action.
So anywhere else he goes, they could take a hit.
So that wasn't adjudicated over in criminal court.
And caller, understand that even though the industrial court is the only court that can order reinstatement, understand that that is not done willy-nilly even by the court, because sometimes the employment relationship is so ruptured that placing the employee back into that environment, how do you place an employee in an environment where they're not wanted or they were severed and you find the employment relationship has deteriorated to such? So even though that the court has jurisdiction to order reinstatement, only the industrial court can do that.
And that's section 10.
Yes, for employment, there are times when wisdom dictates that they don't do that. It is not advisable.
But my concern is the last conversation we had with the young lady there was saying that when a prisoner or any prisoner in anything go to jail and he comes back out now, he's not given an opportunity now to redeem himself. And to allow himself now to put himself in that position that the society will trust him.
Yeah.
So now we are at two different ends of the same argument. This is where now looking for balance.
Well, you're correct, caller. You have to balance the thing. So even though, yes, you want to give the ex-prisoner an opportunity to rehabilitate, you don't give him coke and tell him, well, let me see if you're mature here. If you will, you don't always put them back in the same situation.
And in any case, the ex-prisoner, what we was really saying essentially was that when you do your time in jail, right, and you come out, you did your time, you pay for whatever action and thing. So why it is you must be made to suffer for the rest of your life by society because of a crime you might have committed? You went in jail. So you in the days when marijuana was illegal, right, you would have had caught smoking marijuana. And as a result of that, you went in jail and you come out and you can't get a job because you have a record. Right?
For marijuana.
For marijuana. That to me is insane. You know? I mean, we must have a system where people after they do the time, they must be able to fall back into society, fix. Unless it's some capital crime, and even with that, right? People have to live. You know?
And the caveat with all these things is that what we're talking about are general issues, but you have to be very careful when you're dealing with sensitive issues. So what might apply for marijuana will not apply to children. That is totally different. What might apply for tiffin zaboka wouldn't apply for rape.
And in some cases, even like fraud and those kind of things.
Correct.
Financial companies are going to hire you with those things.
And you can't be vexed. You can't say you're stigmatized because of that. You got caught in fraud. And you want to be chief of some financial institution in the credit union. You can't vex with them. Who would do that? Because remember, we do our due diligence and they do their background checks. But that doesn't mean you can't make it in society. But you can't really expect that everything will be honky-dory. When you come out, nobody doesn't owe you anything. You come out of prison. You don't owe anything. However, ex-prisoners have made it in other areas in life. Good. Wayne Chance is a very good example. You know, with his vision, deceased, with Vision and a Mission, and there's a couple others who, you know, could tell you that they went on to achieve. So we have to balance your right to fairness, to an open society, and even the employers' rights, because the employers, they screen. And they should. Because if you don't do your due diligence and you end up in problems with a client,
correct,
and it is found that this information, this person is a known child person, right? Let's say it was established and you hire him to tutor my child. You have questions to answer.
Now you take this call. I've seen Bataya. Oh, we missed that call. Yeah, but yeah, that is you had to dissect the thing. You had to look at it.
Yeah,
the organization has to be responsible.
Yeah, you had to look at it from a responsible. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I didn't know what your conversation was about. I just came in and heard a man called to tell you about, well, it's generic drugs in the hospital.
Yes.
So if the doctor write a particular name for a particular prescription, if my drugs is generic, it wouldn't be carrying that name.
Exactly.
Right? So I have to send back as a pharmacist, because the doctor is supposed to know what I have in the pharmacy, more or less. It's not one prescription he's sending. So he should know more or less what I have to put the proper thing on the slip to send to the pharmacist. So if I don't have John Paul, although Harry and John Paul is to treat sugar, but he put Harry and I have John Paul, I have to send back to let him know he need to put Harry on the paper.
Yeah. Very correct.
So I could say that I give Harry instead I have a document receiving from the doctor stating Harry, but I given out John Paul. So when they come to check, I have a problem with my account right there, you know.
The pharmacist would have done the right thing, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's go back to employer and character of employees. We are sitting here with our speaker at the house, have those same allegations against him, you know. And I hear no one questions the speaker. He was appointed and there wasn't a noise made about.
But the speaker did this time, eh?
That doesn't matter. I understand all of that. But check the port. So then you're trying to tell me a man could come out of prison and become the prime minister.
Yeah.
And I have to trust that. That way you're telling me, you know. Enjoy the evening.
Yeah, but I mean, we made the distinction where the crime and your new portfolio job, there's an ethical concern, but we should not always create one, you know, and people will try to create one, but he come out of jail. How you he can't drive? So wait now, because he came out of jail, he can't get a license. You understand? So we have to be careful with the lines that we draw, even with people who were convicted of particular offenses and similar nature. But getting back to what we were talking about, because I always like to return to what we're talking about. We understand that the teacher has to be very careful, and the teacher is just an example of any employer in following due process. And once due process was afforded to the gentleman, and due process doesn't mean you can't make a decision, you know. And employers get frustrated because they want to fire you now. Send him home. Nah, we can't take that. What people go say, don't get chained up with what people in HR are telling you. Eh? Understand that there's due process, you will pay.
That's correct.
If you skip 2 steps, you know.
That's correct.
Yeah, exactly.
You will pay.
So I was advising someone some time ago, and we were talking about contracts in the workplace.
Yes.
And persons like, for instance, in the last administration, government agencies who would have been working for the last 10 years under consecutive 3-year contracts. And now a new government come in office, and they were asking if after the government do the investigation and check out everything, if they could just send home people. And I was saying, yes, they could do that. There are ways to do it. Companies do it all the time, right? You change the nature of the workplace, you do a restructure, and therefore those persons will now not necessarily have a reasonable expectation, but it mustn't be constructive. It mustn't be that you're doing it in ways just it had to be serious.
Yeah.
So yes, you could do it, but of course you will have to change the workplace, the nature of the workplace. You'll have to change the nature of the job, because clearly the persons outside of that, a person would say, well, the job continue to exist. And if the job continue to exist, then I have a reasonable expectation. That contract, in terms of the time the contract ends, doesn't really mean anything. Because I have a reasonable expectation, the job continue to exist, and you're going to hire somebody to do the same thing I was doing.
And you get into all problems.
And you get into all kind of problems.
And you get all kind of fancy advice.
Yeah.
And you get into all problems, and you call somebody like Mr. Matheson to clean it up. To what you often say, to dress the dead.
Yeah.
After we both know that you skip about 5 steps.
Yeah, exactly. you didn't spend the time to call in a consultant to tell
No.
you you need to do a
Because the girl too, that's away in HR, you tell she what to do and she tell you back what you just tell she.
Yeah.
Because you the boss, and we could fire she. Yeah, boss, we could fire she.
I take this call. Good evening, caller. Good evening, caller.
Hey guys, hello?
Yeah.
Alright. Listening to the program here, strictly about the topic, employment law. I know I had the same sentiments and confusion you had when some caller talk about chicken. You know, it's not unique to this program, but some callers really try to.
Breast
like Matheson callers.
Breast is
breast is best.
Breast is not breast. Some breast big, some breast small.
I'll be brief. I mean, I have been chiming in a couple evenings at this time when you all talk about employment conditions and stuff. I would also express, I wouldn't say no names, I would express certain types of harassment in the workplace if you do really adjust to person's personal movements, not about the professional environment. And long story short, I was recently wrongfully terminated. Right now I was.
Were you terminated for? You show somebody something that you wasn't. So what you was terminated for?
No, trust me. That's not exactly what I was terminated for. Now, of course, this is my assessment, my opinion, but I was terminated because my main and sole focus was to go to work, do the job, and collect my compensation.
Nah, you wasn't terminated.
You was a team player.
You wasn't terminated for that.
Telling you.
How you could terminate somebody for that? I mean, you wasn't terminated. Sure, like what you was terminated for?
Well, what they did, I think.
What they say you do?
It's have a thing called.
What they say you did?
I think it might be called constructive. So what one person do is they made a complaint that I was smelling like alcohol, and then they asked me the company have a drug testing policy that they do randomly,
and you did it.
And also if they notice any activities or suspicions from a person, they could ask you to do a test.
And did they ask you to do the test?
They asked me to do the test, but it had no. That was the person claim, but I was performing my functions normally, and I wasn't.
No, ask you a question. Did they ask you to do a test?
They asked me to do the test, and I immediately complied.
You complied, and what happened? You failed the test?
No, I didn't fail the test. I went the first time.
Why was terminated?
Why I was terminated?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, because let me say, first time I went, they didn't tell me I needed to come with my ID. So by the time we went back to the office to try and get my ID, the office was the health net was closed. So that was my fault. Second time somebody make that claim again, I immediately complied one time. Went with them, but I was not able. It was a Saturday. So when we reached there, it was about 11:30, and I was not able to produce a urine sample. So that's not my fault. Right, so I complied, and then following that...
What kind of job you do, by the way?
I worked in a restaurant.
You was working in a restaurant at the time?
Yes, sir.
How long you worked there for, caller?
It's from the 2nd of May up until the 29th of August here.
2nd of May this year.
Yes, sir.
So if let me just say this, right? So if you work with a company, any company, especially if you work in a company that requires strict health and safety and thing, right? For good reasons, and part of the policy that you know of is you are required to subject yourself to alcohol tests, drug testing and thing. Should you be required for any reason, right? And you fail to do that when you are asked, then you may be running the risk of getting terminated in a certain kind of way, because clearly one is part of your policy, and two, you not taking the test sends a particular say something, right? It says that you might.
He took the test.
No, he said
it was a urine. I went to an.
He went to take the test, but I tell him he didn't have his ID. Right, so that is something that could be argued.
My fault.
That could be something, but that would have to be evidenced by the way I went to take it. So,
what does the letter of termination say?
The second time I went, just for clarity, the second time I went with them, but the duration of time between I was there and when they closed at 1, I was unable to produce a urine.
And that happens. That's biology. That's not company policy.
That's not my fault. I complied, and then when the health
drink
closed,
more.
I did ask. I wasn't able to drink any more water. I drank plenty, and then I did ask what would be the next steps from here. I was totally ready to go back to work the very next day and produce a test.
But were you drinking though? Were you drinking at all?
No.
But you working in a bar?
No.
You was working in a bar?
I work. They don't sell alcohol in the restaurants.
Oh.
A regular food establishment.
Oh, that's
so
weird.
Following the it's strange. It really born out of this discrimination. So after I wasn't able to produce a urine sample on that Saturday, I went home. I was called back out to work, and I did inquire about the next steps. I was totally ready and prepared to take a next urine sample on a full day to prove that I'm not under any substances.
No, that would be beside the point. That would be
at that stage.
At that stage, it would be just asinine. It doesn't make no sense.
But caller,
any particular reason why I say so?
Yeah, well, if you tell me to go and do a urine sample today because you suspect something today, right? But I can't do it today, but I come tomorrow. It doesn't make sense. The purpose for which you were sent for it doesn't exist tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So
we're not saying it's your fault, but it wouldn't be relevant.
It wouldn't be relevant.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I totally agree with you because, like I said, I did comply. It was just a biological
we understand. We understand that, and we're not saying that you're at fault. I mean, you might have a very good case, as a matter of fact. But you know,
then
it sounds like it has some kind of mischief and all of that too.
Well, I will listen up here. We could talk more later.
Definitely, definitely. Again, you know, we don't get the true Hollywood story all the time. But in terminations like that, there's I mean, I don't think he understood what you were trying to say. That you can't just show up for a drug test when you want and call it a drug test. Because the allegation is on a specific date and time.
Now you take this call. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, the umpires. Good evening, Mr. Matheson.
Good evening, my
man. Mr. Ronaldo, happy to see you back, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
And good evening to Mr. Moore. Hey, for that last caller, sir, working in a restaurant, when you're giving them the bill, don't put your number in the back of it for them ladies, right? It's trouble.
Yeah, we have enough experience to know that some dismissals are not.
It sounds like you do that anyway.
Mr. Matheson, you know you have to shoot your shot, you know. but you know, with the discussion going on, very good. Every program must be excellent. You see, like a pedophile, alcoholic, and so on. You don't go from 0 to 100 in one day, you know. There's a process.
Correct.
So being a pedophile don't happen overnight, you know. It's something that's been going on. and it's something that should be recognized as early as in school.
Yeah.
And this is where the training comes in. So you know how to you know, they will say we like to evaluate people, you know, psychiatric evaluation. But it's something that is needed. Look, like over here, there's a lot of prisoners who went for drugs, for minor crimes, and they go back in society, but they always have a tendency to think
the prison system and the revisitism rate in places like Miami, like where you are, is a little different from here, because they have actual programs for convicted prisoners, as opposed to we just don't have the resources here, from my understanding. And you hear prison officers complain about it all the time.
Yeah, for real. Correct me, Mr. Madison. You know, it come like with Buju. Buju come in New York, go in prison, come out with the masters.
Yeah.
So you know, but even when they go back out in society as an ex-con, they always have a behind their mind that people speak about them, you know. They always have this awkwardness and fitting in society back again, because they believe that
you can't use Buju as an example. I mean, Buju would have come out and he would have been a millionaire right after, anyhow you take it.
Yeah, Buju just sing for himself, you know, he's self-employed, so he's singing and he making his money, but like a regular Joe. You know, because in a lot of jobs, and then you go and when you go to the establishment, they go say he was an ex-con, you know. And that time the guy didn't commit murder or anything, you know. The time that was only drugs, but you see the stigma that it protrudes, and you know, Trinidad have a different mentality. They love to talk. They love to gossip. They love to spread rumors.
So I wonder what the fella who the fired who we were talking about, subject to the discussion just now, they will have to say about him in the next 10 years.
But you see, and this is the thing. I am guarantee you that incident where he said he exposed himself to a minor, right? Now I could guarantee you that he had past convictions on that, you know, but it was covered up.
No,
he wouldn't just do that, you know, Mr. Matheson. He wouldn't just do that out of random, you know.
Why might say he might go in prison and he might be dropping his soap all the time?
well, you know, and before I leave, because I'm looking at the time, you know, over here, in the prison over here, pedophile face punishment in prison, yeah.
Them can't drop the soap at all.
Yeah. But you don't even have a job. You know, he was talking about Brazil and thing, but he will always have a Brazilian wax. So you have to watch yourself. All right, guys, you guys be safe and we choke till tomorrow.
Yeah, Madison callers. Wow.
Wow. You have a Brazilian wax.
Listen. We have the best callers in the world.
Yeah, he call us kind of. Yeah, he call us. Just ask him to solve all kind of issues for them. Check in, all kind of. Just know don't call he to get back the wife and the husband. Mr. Matheson, help me.
I'm not the husband. I wouldn't mind going down for the wives.
Yo, call you for all kind of advice. But on a serious note, the due process is sacrosanct. Whether you feel somebody guilty or not, or whether we feel, you know, and employers should not, we want to discourage, at least I, from trying to circumvent due process and trying to create shortcuts because of what you hear or what somebody tell you or what you read in the papers, and you going to act because you're a high court judge or something, and you just do it. At the same time, however, we do understand issues that go to the root of the employment contract. The employer is not left without remedy. You know, he can repudiate the contract. But still understand that no matter how foolproof you feel your processes may be, an employee is entitled to challenge it.
Exactly.
All your processes, just remember at the back of your head that there's a place, just as in the civil courts, there's a place where somebody can challenge your decision. So you really have to be very careful before you make some of these decisions, especially with things that are very sensational in the public domain. Because
especially, so sometimes somebody might say something about your employee,
Yeah.
and you might find that to be very obscene.
Yeah.
And as a result of it, it's just like a fight in the workplace. You know how the fight take place.
Yeah,
They say,
yeah.
Go to the home.
I've been involved in some issues with a lot of who say them say, and employers having tribunal for things where they should just tell everybody a few choice words and get back to it. But you know, you're having tribunals about who didn't tell who good morning, and the company core values of love and affection, and all these kind of.
And that goes back a lot to what you was talking about a few weeks ago, as one of the core HR principles, which is engagement in the workplace.
These very subjective things.
Yes, understanding that you know, you should actually have. Something I recommend that at the whole department for engagement, you know. Yeah. So that
kind of team building, because you have to work
that
together at the end of the day.
You know, China and them places where have sometimes what you call the best matrix in employment relationship. They are team oriented in terms of the workspaces and that kind of thing. So when one part of the machine is down, the whole machine down, because the team. So you have engagement as a very important element of the workplace, because that element is what will say the whole team is alive. So Christmas, make sure and treat your people right, because they have been
Yes, please. Christmas coming, employers. Christmas coming.
Yeah.
Do something
for your employees.
For your employees.
As bad as things might be.
Yeah.
You know, have a little engagement and don't separate them, bring everybody together as a team, and you know, have a little function for them, or you know, something that is go well. Let's go
and be flexible. You know, don't have people having to take sick day to stay home to paint, and you know, employees have to be fair to to be honest to the employer, because a business has to run. Remember,
especially around Christmas time.
The business will pay you. The business will pay you, and it might be high season, depending on your business. But at the same time, employers could be a lot more sensitive and flexible, understanding the season and what the demands is. Christmas for everybody. Good. And
people just want to feel like we worked hard all year.
People want to feel valued.
Something. You know, for example, those vouchers come in very, very handy.
And there are a lot of things you could do for your employees.
And you know, remember I was telling you about the article.
Yeah.
That I read about your rockstar employee. Your rockstar employee is not necessarily engaged by more money. He done getting plenty money already. But he want to know that you make him feel part of the organization. You make him feel like he is part of the organization. You know, his family. You know, you know, you could say, well, take a card home for Jim. Jim birthday was yesterday. You know, over the weekend. How they spend the weekend. You know, all them kind of things. Show that kind of interest. In your workers and your employees, and they will give you back it in coins in a different way.
I think employers need to be a little bit more sensitive. For example, I've seen where CEOs give their employees pressure. They can't get to leave a little half day when the child writes SCA. You mean that they must stay back after hours? Those things, people feel discouraged by those things. If they're on sick leave,
if your children not
allow
happy,
them to be sick.
if your children not happy, you wouldn't be happy.
Exactly.
If you can't do certain things
like
for your family and things, you wouldn't be happy.
Issue now.
You can't be happy.
And all over the world, there's a HR science to these things.
Yeah, of course. It's what we say.
Companies that invest heavily in the employees and demand a lot from them. You don't have to leave here.
They have less turnover in employees. They have better productivity.
Before we go,
matters before the court.
Yeah, before we go, I remember my mom used to work on a private daycare for Atlantic LNG workers. And that whole idea came about after a survey with the workers, and they asked the workers, what is their utmost concern? What could we do for you that will alleviate all your issues and make you work hard? And they said the children.
Exactly.
And so they open a daycare.
So they open a daycare
Yes.
to facilitate them so that they come to work. When they come to work from south and they're coming down early, the children have somewhere to go, to bathe, to change, to go to school.
Exactly.
So that the parents don't have to worry. And it's contributing.
Some employers might find that very onerous on them.
No, but it's contributory.
Might very onerous.
Yeah, it's not free.
You don't have to do that. But,
yeah.
You know. But ladies and gentlemen, we spoke a lot this evening, and we will be going. This will be coming to the end of our program. We'll see you tomorrow. All of us.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street. 919 FM.